Okay, good. All right, you can see my big screen. So today, hi, my name is Trisha Pang, not Watini, Pang, and I'm a cancer coach. So a lot of people is like, wow, never heard about it before. What does a cancer coach does? Basically, I will do anything that is not related to what your doctor do. So I don't do the medical aspect of cancer. I do more on the emotional and mental wellness of somebody who's diagnosed with cancer, as well as for their caregivers or their family members. So people who come to me and I only work with women, I don't work with men. So somebody who is like newly diagnosed, for example, there's a lot of anxiety that surfaces, decision making that needs to be done. So they might want to talk about it. It's not that I wouldn't tell them, say, oh, you should do this, you should do that. But I work them, journey with them through the concerns that they have, as well as why they do this, why are they feeling about that, why are they so fearful, what is that fear about? And interestingly, a lot of times it's not so much about the cancer per se, it's beyond the cancer. And also during the treatment time, some of those insecurity surfaces and they want to talk to somebody about it. And they find that, during a doctor's appointment, they're like, doctor, they don't seem to understand what we are feeling. So we have a conversation about it. As well as post-cancer, some ladies are like, okay, now that I have cancer, this is a new journey for me, a new transition, and I don't know what to do. I'm overwhelmed with decision. I don't know, should I go back to my job and not? So then we have a conversation about it. So that's in a nutshell what I do, is to uncover some of those layers and layers and layers of emotions that somebody goes through the moment they're diagnosed. And also towards the end of life, that's another area that I'm actually quite interested in is palliative coaching. So when somebody is facing towards the end of life, or maybe sometimes even with that being diagnosed with cancer, they are like overwhelmed that, oh wow, am I going to die? Or what is it that I'm afraid of about dying? So we talk about it. So with their family members too, it's actually really helpful to have a conversation about it. So that's me in a nutshell. Just a bit. So today we're going to talk about the important big C, not cancer, but self-compassion. Why is that so important? Especially now, right now it's COVID, right? So we all know that many friends and family around us are facing some kind of mental illness, kind of stress, mental issues. So we want to work towards the mental wellness. So the emphasis is on the wellness, not on the illness. So there are many ways you can enhance your mood, build resilience, and get more enjoyment out of life. So I think it's important to learn to be at peace with yourself. We want to get to know who we are, what makes us happy. What makes your children happy doesn't mean that you'll make you happy. So you have to start finding out what makes you happy and acknowledge that we can and cannot change certain things about ourselves. So instead of like, wow, I'll get angry, like why I should have done, I could have done that. You say that, hey, yeah, it's okay. There are certain things that's not within our control. And we want to identify our abilities and weaknesses, accept them, and build on them and do the best that we have. So that's learning how to be at peace about yourself. And we also want to pay more attention to our own needs and feeling. As women, we tend to always do things for other people. So we want to express our own thoughts, whether it's through a journal, a blog, to understand more about ourselves. Write it down if it helps. We will work towards certain objectives, set some SMART goals. Like we want to be specific, measurable, achievable, and relevant, and time limited. So this setting goal thing, recently I've been doing, I've heard a few friends that mention about setting goals to imagine how we want to be when we are 70 years old, for example. And then we started sending each other images of when we see online, right? We see, oh, this 94-year-old lady dancing. Then we're like, okay, when I'm 94, I hope to be like that, to be able to dance like that. I see people working out at 70. I say, oh, when I'm that age, I want to have that visual image of that. Still straight up and still being active and smiling and socially, connected. So we want to set some kind of aging goal too. And that's aging goal. I mean, of course, you can set all sorts of goals, financial goal, health goals. So we want to maintain a healthy lifestyle. We mean learning to take a more balanced kind of meals, exercising. Alcohol is something that I think I've recently stopped. Before, I'm not a big drinker, but lately I have been hearing more and more doctors talking about the connection with alcohol and breast cancer. So I say, well, in that case, cut it all off. And of course, no smoking and stuff. So we want to build strong relationships. So even things like this, a support group, very, very helpful, because in times like this, like COVID and all this thing, we realize that we do need to make time for family and friends, and so that we can share. So I have many auntie friends in my breast cancer support group, and we form little groups of friends, and then we meet up or we chit chat on our WhatsApp group and chit chat about anything. We don't talk cancer, but we talk about their grandchildren lah, we talk about their husbands lah, and things like that. So it's good when you realize that, occasionally somebody sends you a good morning, that means that somebody is thinking about you. So we also want to create some financial budget, because you don't want to be like, oh, so poor that you're not able to go do anything that you want to enjoy. But we want to avoid overspending and focus on the needs rather than the wants. Because we also hear people spending just to compensate, like, oh, I work so hard, so I need to buy a bag. But then that's actually not true mental wellness. You want to really focus on what you truly need. And volunteering, that's something that I've been doing my whole life, is to volunteer for a cause that I believe. And I find that there is some consistency. I do enjoy volunteering for women. So I volunteer with families with special needs children. I volunteer to fundraise for cataract surgery. I volunteer with Breast Cancer Foundation for the longest time, and in many areas. So find something that you enjoy volunteering for, and that can become your social network. And all those things, sometimes we say that we are the one volunteering, but in return, I find that the people that I work with are helping me with my mental wellness. And so the best cure for our mind is for our body is a quiet mind. For those who tend to have difficulty sleeping, you will realize why can't you sleep? Because our mind is like a monkey inside, jumping here, jumping, it's got Sun Wukong inside, right? Jumping in and there. So how do we quieten our mind so that we are able to have some rest? Yes, even though we could be in pain, for those who are undergoing treatment right now, we could be in pain. But if you realize that once you quieten down that mind, even the pain can feel a little bit more comfortable. So I introduced the concept of self-compassion for mental wellness. Just now we were talking about the big picture of mental wellness. So now we'll zoom into the self-compassion part of it. So there are three big elements, which is the mindfulness, common humanity, and self-kindness. So for us women, the word compassionate is often described about us. Oh, you're so compassionate and all this. You never hear them describe men using the word compassionate as more often. So we feel the warmth, the caring, and the desire to help the suffering person in some way. Just like how you guys are helping each other in a support group. So having compassion also means that we offer understanding and kindness to another when they feel or make mistake, rather than judging them harshly. So we also feel compassion for another person, not just pity, compassion. It means that you realize that suffering, failure, and imperfection is part of the shared human experience. So just like compassion for other people, self-compassion is acting the same way towards ourselves. When you're having a difficult time, when you fail, when you notice that something I don't like about yourself, you stop to tell yourself, hey, okay, now it's really difficult. Now I'm undergoing treatment. I got to cut myself some slack. Now it's COVID time. Do I really need to keep my house spick and span and like, even though I don't feel like it? How can we comfort ourselves and care for ourselves at this moment? instead of only just like judging and criticizing ourselves, like, yeah, you know, yeah, today I could have done more, like, hey, I could have done that, or, you know, whatever we say, who is the one who say that we have to be perfect? We never expect that from other people. So why do we expect that so much from ourselves? So you want to ask yourself that. And mindfulness for health, it helps us understand ourselves better and seeing how we can contribute to the suffering of ourselves. So I don't know about you, but when speaking with a lot of cancer survivors, I realized that a lot of things we actually inflict on ourselves. You know, we worry about things that never ever happen. We worry about relapses. We like last week, I was having this chest pain for 1.5 weeks. And even when I breathe, it was so painful. And I was like, oh my God. So in my head, I was already thinking, oh my God, metastasized already, metastasized to my lung. Oh, did it go to my chest wall? So I went into this spiral of worrying. And I started noticing my thought pattern. So this is what the mindfulness is helpful. I recognized that I was going in a loop. I was feeling self-pity. I was thinking worst case scenario. So, and then I tell myself, okay, I allow it for a day, 2 days, and then it became a week. And I say, hey, I gotta stop it already. This is getting ridiculous. This is not helpful for me. And then I decided to put a stop to that loop, because I was mindful of what was going in here as well as here, because I was like scared, right? So what I did was I booked an appointment with a doctor. I hate seeing doctors. Even my doctor said, wow, long time no see. I said, yeah. Then he looked at my record and said, wow, 3 years, I never see you already. I said, yeah, that's a good thing, right? So he knew that I really bo pian, then I went to see him. So anyway, so cut the story short, it was just a case of inflammation in my, that joint lah. So he gave me some pills. I ate it. Within hours, that pain was gone. So just like that, all my 1.5 weeks of worrying and suffering was wasted, kind of wasted lah. But anyway, so it was a good reminder for myself that don't get into that loop. Some people could not get into the loop for years, or they have patterns of it. So that's why regular meditators are admitted to hospital a lot less often for serious diseases or infectious disease, because they are more aware of their body. They are more aware of where that pain was. Is this real? Is this not real? And meditation actually soothes the part of the brain that produces the stress hormones. So I realized that when I was having that pain, I was not thinking straight, I was not sleeping well. And when not sleeping well, stress hormone for me, because I'll lie in bed, I need to sleep, I need to sleep, I need to sleep. And it's not helpful. So I realized that I could have actually meditated, and that could help me better to control my emotions and stuff like that. And meditation and mindfulness also help improve the control of blood sugar in type 2 diabetes. So for those who have diabetes or have family members with diabetes, this is something that non-medicated kind of help, which is to be mindful and to meditate. Okay. So mindfulness means to pay attention in a particular way on purpose in the present moment, non-judgmentally. So that's the key, non-judgmentally. So after my surgery on my arm, I had my lymph nodes removed, right? I had about 17 lymph nodes removed. So I experienced daily arm and back pain. And before I practice, I get very irritable with the pain. And I think the more I think about it, the more I focus on my pain, and the more it comes like a magnifying glass, like that, it amplifies it. So every day I say, my hand like that, fei already, you know, in Chinese term, it's like gone case already. I'm a one arm woman. So then after I learned mindfulness, I realized to say, okay, today is painful here and there. I accepted it. I accepted that pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. So I still feel my pain, but I can choose not to suffer. So that's the important thing to remember. And in practice, we can say to ourselves, breathing in, I feel so upset. Breathing out, I am here for myself and holding my upset feeling with kindness. So this is something that we can practice doing, whatever you want to breathe in and breathe out. Like, so you can breathe in, why you like that, and then breathing out, I shall be kind to myself and not let this anger get to me. So actually mindfulness carries some kindness within it. So not to judge ourselves and blame ourselves for the pain or anger or whatever that we're experiencing. So the next big topic is common humanity under self-compassion. Just now we have mindfulness. So now we're talking about common humanity. So COVID, if you recognize that COVID and cancer are really good example to show the common humanity. We are connected in some way and another. I can get COVID, somebody in Europe can get COVID, a millionaire can get a COVID, a farmer can get COVID. So it's not useful to blame who is at fault, who should and who should not get COVID. So same thing with cancer, right? If you notice among us, very fair, and cancer does not discriminate. I don't care whether you're CEO, I don't care whether you are low income, high income, whatever, at what stage of your life, you kena, right? So that is what we call a common humanity. So the very definition of being human, it means that one is mortal, we are vulnerable and imperfect. So therefore, cut ourselves some slack. So self-compassion involves recognizing the suffering and personal inadequacy of being part of this shared common humanity. Something that we all go through rather than being something that, oh, why me? Like when I first had it, I thought I was the only miserable 32-year-old that got cancer. And I felt horrible about it because I keep looking, everybody else is so healthy, it's not fair. People are like going on with their career and their life is so unfair. Why me? And then I got angry about it. Until now, then I realized, hey, you have it too. Sandy has it, Im has it, Serene has it, Anna has it, everybody has it. So that's reminding me that, hey, you know, I am not any different, but I can choose to embrace this cancer experience differently from everybody else. So it's a choice. So caring for the emotion, as we connect to the actual experience underneath the self-judgment, that which whatever, like could be anger, disappointment, sadness, confusion, fear, we can care for this emotion. So it's like, oh, I'm so afraid. Okay, what am I afraid of? So like a caregiver, you know, when we hold a baby, any of us women, whether we like children or, but once somebody gives us a crying baby, we will care for that crying baby with tenderness and compassion. We attend to the pain of that moment rather than push it away. Nobody will give us a baby crying and they're like, hey, no, we don't want, push it away. And then, no, we will see our pain as that crying baby. We want to help that pain. What is it that this pain is trying to tell us? We want to be, what do you call it? You know, especially really painful things like anger, despair, rage. We want to look at it and say, hey, why? Is it some kind of a fear? When somebody is so angry, last time my son, right, he gets really big tantrums in his teenage time. Then I will tell myself, okay, what's behind this anger? Is he scared? Is he afraid of something? What is he trying to show me? Because I always believe that every single person is not born evil. There is something in their experience that made them who they are. So we want to touch into this more on the elemental level and not judge it and not say, oh, he's such an evil kid, oh, he's so difficult to be with. So even like your husband, your colleague, your family member, try to understand why are they behaving the way they're behaving. And hopefully with that kindness for other people, we can also use that kindness on ourselves to help us accept that we experience difficulty in different ways. So in practice, we can say to ourselves, breathing in, I feel so upset. And then breathing out, I am here for myself, holding my upset feeling with kindness. Right? So mindfulness also, you know, we want to be kind to how we feel, and being gentle with ourselves when we are confronted with all this painful experience, rather than get angry when the life falls a little bit short of our ideal, what it should be, could be, and things like that. And when reality is, when we are fighting it, it's actually not as good. It actually causes us more stress and frustrations, and more critical. So we want to embrace it with sympathy, kindness, and one thing that I always teach my children since young is kind thoughts, kind words, and kind action. So if you want to write that down, you can write it to remind yourself, am I doing this for myself? Do I have kind thoughts about myself? Kind words about myself? Oh, I'm so kind and beautiful today. Oh, I'm so glad that I'm able to share this. And then give ourselves affirmation. And kind action. What kind of kind action? Later at 1 o'clock, I've booked for myself a nice body massage. I don't do it often, but I decided that this past 2 weeks, I've done quite a lot for other people. So I'm treating myself, and my husband will book for 1 o'clock later to go for a massage. It could be a cup of tea. You can buy a nice, good quality tea bag for yourself, a nice treat. That's what I do, because normally I'm quite meow one, I'm quite stingy. So occasionally I give myself a treat. So I might order a more expensive piece of cake and a cup of tea in a nice ambiance, just to treat myself. So this is being kind to yourself. It can happen in different ways. You can be kind to using whatever works for you. So I added this in, even though it was not part of the 3 topics that we were talking about. I think that it's important to learn why we need to say no, because I think self-care is important when we learn this word, saying no, taking action to the world to protect. We always protect the world, provide for them. We also want to motivate and protect ourselves. And it means to say no to other people who are hurting us. We want to draw our boundaries. So I've had friends whose husband, very toxic relationship. When you're engaged in a toxic relationship, you allow it to happen over and over again. That's not self-care. My friends can care for their children, their mother-in-law, and put up with that toxicity in the relationship. And when the husband will say that, oh, you're such a fat pig, the husband will call them back and like, really? You put up with that? Yeah, they do. Because they think they are doing a good job as a mother to take care of the children by not leaving. No. Toxic relationship, we do not allow that. We do not allow other people to treat us that way, whether it's in the workspace, at home, or anything. So a healthy couple is open to each other's feedback, and you should invest in each other's happiness and seeing what you can do to communicate better and more effectively. So do not just say that I married the wrong type of boy, I wrong type of boss, all those things. When we invest in self-care, we do not allow those kind of things to happen. So that's very important. So we also want to say no to our own harmful behavior so that we can be safe and healthy. So it means to give ourselves what we genuinely need, mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually. So without sabotaging our own needs, right? A lot of times, mommy put our own needs in front of other people. We say that, okay, I'll do this for you. Okay. Even though we are already collapsing inside, we are already very tired, we are already all those things. So we need to know how to say, no, we are too stretched already. I cannot do this anymore. There's one point where I have a lot of requests to volunteer here, volunteer that, left, right, center. Every day I was volunteering until to the point was actually very, very physically tired. So I have to learn how to say no, because my natural response is yes. So I have to retrain my brain to say no. And it means to motivate ourselves to reach our goal and to make the necessary changes, right? So remember that we are not fix it all. I cannot save every single person. I cannot help everyone, and I need to help myself first before I can help anybody else. Just like, when we go take the airplane, they always say that in the event of emergency, please put on your mask and your best on yourself before you help your child, right? So because when we are off already, toh already, right? So Cancer, we know the moment we are toh already, we are down, we cannot help anybody else. No matter how good a mommy you are, how good a wife you are just as good as how much you can do for yourself, right? So that's a good reminder that we need to learn how to say no and protecting ourselves. And I'll give you one example, one recent example of a lady. She's in from my parenting group, support group lah. So we have special needs children and stuff. So she called me one day and she said, "Hey, Trisha, I'm going to divorce my husband. I'm going to leave my children and just go." I'm like, "What? Really?" And then so she started talking and I started asking more and more. And from her conversation, I could actually tell that she's just a very, very tired mom. She actually still loves her family. Her husband is actually quite helpful, and her children are actually quite loving. From what sometimes we forget, we don't hear ourselves until we speak to somebody. So when I reflected it back to her and we chatted about what she can do for self-care and self-compassion, 2 days later, she practiced and she did, and she reported back and she said, "Wow, I really went for a very, very slow lunch." She took 3 hours to eat one lunch in a fancy, nice place, eating stuff that she wanted to eat for herself. She said, when I go out with my children and my family, I never get to order anything I like to eat. It's always go roll yolk lah, and then tofu lah. It's always what the children likes to eat. I never get to choose what I like to eat. So she just went out, ordered something she loved to eat, sat there and slowly ate and scroll aimlessly at her and watch her Korean drama as she eat, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, just time for herself. And she booked herself a massage and have a whole day for herself. And she was totally recharged. And when she was recharged, her mind kind of like adjusted. But of course, it's a work in progress. I wouldn't say that one time off is okay. But just from how she connected with me the next time, her tone was different. She didn't talk about divorce anymore. She started to look at her blessings. What are her blessings around her? She started to look for good in herself. She committed to investing more time for herself. So you think that simple action and simple gesture and simple shift in mindset can actually save herself from a broken marriage and a family. So don't underestimate all these things. You think that, hey, Trisha here, Rara, only say all these things, right? It's actually, it boils down to practice and awareness and practice. So one thing for her is she does have the awareness. She knew that she was breaking down. She knew she had to reach out, which I applaud her for that. Some people, they don't even reach out. They will just suffer in silence. So you got to nourish yourself before you can flourish. So it's a step back and remember that you are worth the love and care that you give other people. So many people think that, practicing self-care is inconvenient or selfish. But what is so selfish about wanting the best version of yourself? So the only way you can give yourself to other people is if you give yourself first. So imagine we are a bank. We have to deposit our emotional bank before we can give out to people. If not, right, it will be like we are like credit card, give, right? We never deposit anything back into our emotional bank, our self-care bank. We never give ourselves any me time. Then we lose touch of our mind and our body, and we are not doing justice to ourselves. So of course, you don't have to always light candle and then, bubble bath. It's not very realistic in Singapore terms lah. But in Singapore term, maybe, I don't know, have a good nap, watch K-drama. For myself, it's like, sometimes I indulge in K-drama. It might sound very superficial. Yeah, that one, waste time, very auntie, But to me, I find it's very enjoyable because when I'm watching my K-drama, I'm actually in that space where I don't have to think. I just ha, and then that's it. The next episode, no need really, no need to think so much about it. So perhaps you can type in the chat box what you do or share with, you can on your unmute and all those things. For me, I also like to subscribe to positive blogs. and post. So in my Facebook, I will choose those that are very more positive. I will subscribe to them. And there was one point where I actually deleted all those negative kind of Facebook of friends that were a bit more negative. You know, there are some friends that were like, you know, today my boss did this to me. Oh, you know, my mother-in-law is like that one. You know, like they're bitching on the chat. Then I would distance myself from those kind of group or that kind of friends. So I will surround myself with beautiful quotes. I have them around my house too. I will do things like that. So you can, like, if you say, hey, I'm not born positive, okay, never mind. You can fake it until you make it, right? So you can, what do you call that? Do all those little things for yourself. So anyway, it's kind of towards the end, but I want to have a discussion since we have a fairly small group. Feel free to unmute yourself. Normally I will do it in a breakout room, but never mind, we have a big group here. So we can just pretend that we are in a big room right now in our SES support group. We want to talk about, let me see. After listening, right, are you aware of your current state of mental wellness, right? Your emotional bank, are they good? Do you feel like you need to have more self-compassion? So think about it. Unmute yourself, Sandy. You love to, I arrow you first. You like to arrow people, arrow you first. So you can answer any of this. Feel free, and then we can have a chat, have a conversation about it. So maybe sometime we can get idea of each other too. Okay, Sandy, I arrow you already. Then later you arrow the next person, okay?
While Sandy is collecting her thoughts, since you arrowed her, I give her time to think. I will speak. Okay. Okay, I understand from what you mentioned just now, a few points. One thing is that we have a choice to feel how we want to feel. So, I mean, in terms of mindfulness, I always try to remember my state of mind as well. Sometimes we are more negative and more depressed or down, and it doesn't help when people tell you that, you know, oh, you shouldn't this, you shouldn't that, and that makes you feel worse. So very often I try to be aware of my own thoughts. And like you say, I try to surround myself with more positive things. And no matter how down I am, I know I try to be positive, like fake it or so. The reason being, you know, being cancer survivors, there are a lot of things that we go to work or with family and friends that we feel that, hey, how come I'm like this now and I wasn't, you know, before? Yeah, but if we keep thinking this way, I find that it is a very you know, difficult for ourselves, you know. So for self-compassion, we need to accept what happened. And to me, right, we have to look at the positive side of it. Like, after all this, I still survived, and here I am. I want to make the best of it, you know, in my life. You know, if I had no chance to be here now, then you know, I will be gone. But I'm here, so you know, we have to do the best that we can for ourselves.
Correct. Just even with pain, right? I tell myself, okay lah, at least got pain lah. Imagine if I'm dead already, I have no chance to experience pain.
Yeah.
So that's a way of thinking lah. Even some people say, hey, this is very AQ, you know, like, oh, you know, you think like that. But the thing is, what's
it's
interesting,
part of life. Yeah.
No, what's interesting is a lot of people always assume that we need to be happy all the time. We have a spectrum of emotions within us. You know, imagine if you only have sunny days every single day for the rest of your life, and you're happy every single day for the rest of your life, it's actually, life is quite boring, you know, like that. So only when we have a little bit of sunshine, a little bit of cloudy day and rainy day. So when we have rainy day, we're like, wow, okay, so cool. We have a cool day. And then when the next day sun comes, then we're very happy that, hey, wow, luckily today sun comes, we better go out and play now. So we have different emotions, different uncertainties. So it's embracing the uncertainty that comes every single day, and the uncertainty of because sometimes, like you say initially, you say, why is it not like before? You know, we were never meant to be like before. I'm now much wiser. Do I want to be like before I got cancer? No, not really. I think I'm much wiser now. I embrace my blessings more. Because suddenly with cancer, you suddenly, ding, you are like enlightened like that, right? You are like, oh, wow, you know, it's so good to be alive. So I guess it's not, we manage our expectations. If we ask ourselves, when we set certain expectation about ourselves or on other people, are we putting ourselves up for disappointment? Because we're imposing what we think should happen and could happen in our you know, in our fantasization. But then when it doesn't happen, it's like, yeah, why like that one? Why my husband like not like those Korean oppa like that? Why he's not romantic one? Because I watch already, I think like that. But is it his fault? No, it's not his fault. It's because I like think inside here, right? But could I improve my relationship by saying that, hey, can we come and do this? Can we go and do that? Can. These are actions I can take instead of blaming only. Yeah.
Okay, Sandy, are you ready to share?
I like your background. Your that one is very good for meditation, your background.
Oh, I can't see my own background.
But then it's not your choice. It's the choice of that background, right? It's very zen. Good for yoga. Yeah.
Sandy?
Your mic is off.
Oh, my mic?
No, Sandy's
mic, yeah. Sandy, your mic is off. You need to unmute to speak.
Hey, you can answer any of it, or you can.
I think she cannot.
You can have an action plan also. You can have an action plan, what you plan to do this weekend, or you can talk about what you can do to feel more self-compassionate. So feel free to answer, or none of this above also can, or what you think about anything that you got out of this. Yeah, it's just a sharing session, just like in a normal support group.
Yeah, I think Sandy's having problem with her mic. So anyone else who would like to share, please, yeah, feel free to share. Serene Sui.
Yeah, Serene's mic is off. Come talk.
My mic is off.
It's on.
Oh, it's good. We hear you.
Please share. Thank you.
For my weekend, for tomorrow, I will meeting those cancer patients together. Go for makan, and she invite me to the church.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, good.
Then for me, I never thinking of the negative thing. I will always thinking of positive. Wherever people support me, I will join them. Okay, that's what I have.
Good. Hey, don't say never. Are you sure never? Because I hear a lot of cancer patients, right? Every time they go and see doctor, before they get scanned, they get very scared. Then they will all imagine the worst case scenario. And every year when they go for their annual check, right? It's called scancity. That means anxiety during scans.
Yeah, but so far I go for every year I go for mammogram and CT scan. I see the doctor. They find, I talk with them. I find that I got nothing. It's very good.
Very calm.
Very good.
Wow, very good. Then you can do next session. Elizabeth must book you already. Then you can
no, I cannot talk much.
It's so zen and so calm, which is good. I mean, it's good. It's good to but then, so that, I mean, it's human to get afraid. Like you think that, hey, Trisha's cancer coach, how come when she get that pain, she's like, wow, you know, scared here, scared there. It's true, because I'm only human. I'm also afraid. But the thing is to acknowledge the afraid, to acknowledge the fear, and not let it go on for too long. I think that's the difference between people who actually get into depression and all these things. So we want to catch it at the earlier phase before it gets spiraling out of control.
Shall we get another lady to share with us? I can see somebody. SK, are you there? Ong SK.
Could you guys help me see if there's any questions, because I cannot read the question section. Yeah, so if you have any questions.
No questions from the chat box yet.
Okay, no question. SK, I
what
could
about
see that your mic is working. Are you able to speak? No sound.
Okay.
No,
what about Anna Tan? Anna Tan, you want to unmute?
Don't want to share, is it? I see you shaking your head.
At the moment, I don't have anything to share. I want to absorb more.
Absorb.
I want to be like a sponge now.
Are you guys all practicing self-compassion in a little bit?
Trying to.
Trying to,
Yeah.
There's a saying called by Yoda, say, do not try. Do, you must do it, don't try it.
Must
Must
do.
do. Yeah.
I like the part that you talk about, you know, looking at the positive side of people when you are trying to negate friends who are negative. I like it that I've been practicing it this nowadays.
Actually,
Nowadays.
it's important because sometimes we have I mean to be fair, like even in any kind of this kind of volunteer group, right, there will be different kind of character people, right? Some we like, some we are like, why they behave like that one, like that. So I find that everybody, what I notice as a coach, right, is that everybody has their story behind why they behave the way they behave. Sometimes it's their childhood, sometimes it's their current situation, sometimes they are just like, maybe at home they are being bullied by their husband and children. So they come to this environment, they don't know how else to behave. They, you know, they are more aggressive or they are more whatever. So if we can start putting on our kindness lens and compassionate lens, both for outside people as well as inside, why is it important to see them in that kind of lens? So that we do not let their anger or behavior, negative behavior get to us and affect us. You know, sometimes you say, "Hey, that person made me so angry, blah, 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 blah. That person's behavior making me angry." But if I use a compassionate lens to see that person, to say that, oh, that person must have a reason for behaving or saying the things they say, it's okay. I shall share my kindness. Then that kind of emotion for yourself is already, you know, very like much more zen, much more calmer for yourself because you are not letting the other person nonsense get to you, right? So I think it's more for ourselves lah. Even though we say kindness for other people, but it's actually for ourselves too. Anything else? Anyone? I know we're coming up to almost 11 o'clock. I think this thing ends at 8 o'clock. Okay, so I'll end with this quote. Your mind is a garden and your thoughts are the seed. So you can grow flowers or you can grow weeds. So really, our mind is very, very amazing. We can weed regularly so that our flowers can bloom better. So that's important to note for what we want to see be the change that we want to see, instead of just like, oh, you know, people did this to me, oh, cancer did that to me, I'm like that because of cancer, this and that. We can choose what kind of life we want post cancer. So it's always a choice. We always have a choice, right? Even with all those cancer treatment, we have a lot of choices lah. Even not choosing is a choice by itself. Yeah. So anyway, and all those things, if you are quite interested in the topic on self-compassion, look out Dr. Kristen Neff. She has a lot of like TED Talks and things like that, different kind of topics on self-compassion. There are exercises on self-compassion, so you can learn more about it. And thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you.
You know, my name is Trisha, and you can find me. Oh, you can, Facebook. I'm on Facebook, Cancer Coach. Normally what I do, I don't put so much stuff about cancer per se, but I will do more on like those kind of motivational kind of things. And cancercoachingforwomen.com is my website. So that's where you can find me too. If you know that somebody who perhaps needs somebody that to a more difficult time, yeah, feel free. Or you can always find me at Breast Cancer Foundation as a volunteer. Okay.